Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, good morning. Welcome to Super Fun Sunday. Today, what I thought we would do is we're going to look at Skottie Young. We'll get into it in 1 second, but I wanted to give first a shout out to a channel that I enjoy that has very few subscribers or is a newer channel that's working their way up, and it's called Jerk Comics. And he does really good kind of like biographies on moments in comics, and I really enjoy his, I guess you would call them like essays, like video essays. They're really good, so I'll link to his channel. I saw him pop up in the comments section. I didn't forget, it's just the timing of when to do the plug was you know what I mean. I try to time it where I think people will catch it. So yeah, Jerk Comics, he's got a real good channel, and I think that if he continues with his essays, it will do quite well. And then, yeah, so I've been getting into a lot of different art over the last few weeks. I get bored with like the superhero stuff or just anything, I mean, you get like oversaturated with it. And I started looking at a lot of like modern and contemporary art. As you've seen, I've been getting really into a lot of manga. And then I was getting into some real sort of like lowbrow and graffiti art again. I love graffiti art. And then I was looking at like Marcel Duchamp, Basquiat. I mean, I've been all over the map the last few weeks and really enjoying it. And it's a nice change of pace. So as I was trying to come up with an idea for the video this morning, I had one concept that I've kicked around for a while, which is to I was going to do Mark Silvestri, but what I was going to do is I have a few of his earliest published works. He did a couple of ghost stories, like in like Strange Tales kind of thing. There's a couple of like I think a war story that he did, and just a few little odds and ends that are really buried in the sort of the depths of comic book stuff. And there was a few that I wasn't even aware of, and I thought I had his oldest stuff, which would be like a Namor issue. He did some short stories in King Conan. And anyway, what I wanted to show is because I'm always encouraging people to draw, and I think sometimes we can see the end result of people who have gotten really good. We sometimes forget where they start, like the humble beginnings and the jobs that didn't go so good. And honestly, probably a lot of projects that they wish would never surface. So I would never do it to embarrass anyone, but hopefully it would encourage artists that, like, if you're beginning or you're struggling with stuff, to know that even sometimes when people break in as a professional, you may do a few years worth of work that you're just really not as into as you move along. So anyway, but so Skottie Young, I'm really getting into Dr. Seuss again, and I started thinking about Skottie, and I was like, will be perfect. So I have some very early stuff that he did. I have some more recent stuff that he's done, and stuff from maybe about 7 years ago. I have some pencils to inks, like thumbnails. So it should be a really fun video. So let's get to it, and we'll go full screen mode, and hopefully everyone's doing well today. And super fun Sunday is going to be super fun. All right, let's do this. Some weeks, that's not easy to do. A lot of allergies. So anyway, this is from Rocket Raccoon. I pulled up about an issue's worth of Rocket Raccoon, and this is Skottie when he had really kind of defined his style, and he's working at a pretty high level at this point with his cartooning. But we'll see as we go along. I have a pretty early story from him. So what's interesting about someone like Skottie Young stuff, and this is just coming from a professional point of view, I don't know what his personal struggles were breaking in, because he broke in so long ago. But let's look at this really quick, and I'll get into what I was going to say. So yeah, these are really interesting. These look like digital comps that he did. I could be wrong, but this looks like an airbrush or like dry marker tool in maybe Photoshop or Clip Studio, the panel borders. And if I'm not mistaken, then he prints these out in blue and then draws over them or inks over them. It's a smart way to work. I mean, it would definitely expedite your workflow. And that's the key when you're trying to produce work on any kind of a timetable. So working digital is great because you can adjust things real quickly, and you'll see with some of these pages how the work changes from this initial sketch to what he finishes. Sometimes the facial expressions, the angles of things. Oh, it's not going to go in order. Damn it. Oh, okay. So, well, it'll be a little out of order, but anyway. So this stayed pretty true. I mean, this is the inks to that colored page that we were looking at. But we'll see as we get. There'll be a thumbnail of the. So, God damn it. It sucks that they're going out of order. This is cool. But yeah, so when Skottie broke in, there was a little bit of a baby art trend that was going on. Arthur Adams had I think been one of the first to do it, and he did it years before. But there was a little bit of a resurgence in it, kind of in the like later '90s. And I had a couple of friends, J.J. Kirby or Javon Kirby. There was the X-Men Babies thing that they did, and Skottie looked like he popped up there, and it was its very early work, and it doesn't look as much like this, but there was a window for people to get work doing more cartoony stuff, and as Skottie's popularity grew, he was able to continue working in comics, doing an unusual style. Now, I don't know if in 2020, if you came to a company, now you don't necessarily have to approach a company to get approval to work, but it might be harder to break in now with a style like this. It just goes in trends. But having someone like Skottie out there definitely ups your odds of that. But if you're self-publishing, then it's just, can you build a big enough fan base? And Skottie's very, very popular. He has a few 100,000 subscribers, I think, on Instagram. So he's doing good. There's the pencils or the inks for this, and you'll notice when we see the thumbnail of the pencils of this actually changes quite a bit. His original sketch is like a side view of this, and the design of the ship is a bit different too. Hopefully it pops up next. Yeah, see, you see the difference of the ship. I think that was the same page. Now I'm not sure. I'm like but yeah, it's not as skull like this. He did a real nice job on this. And Skottie writes a lot too. Credit to him for really taking that into his own hands. Because if you watch my videos, even from a few years ago, I was encouraging everyone. I said this before. I said, if you are an artist, you need to be writing. You need to be coming up with original ideas. You need to be coming up with original content. I stressed that a long time ago, and you see not only why that's important, but the success that you can have doing it. So trust me, I was pushing this on people a long time ago, because the writing was on the wall 4 years ago. But even before that, I just think it's just a mistake to not have original content that you not only own, but you get to work on. Come up with your superhero team. Come up with your science fiction book, I mean, why not? He agrees. These are fun. It's cool that they shared this in the book. This is the Rocket Raccoon trade. He's so cool. So great little gestures. He's got a lot of energy in his sketches. This is good, And then he inks it loose enough where he's able to keep a lot of that in, as we'll see with the black and white inks. I mean, you can even see it here. Look at his ink lines, how nice and organic they are, but it looks real good. This is great. He was doing a sketch a day, maybe a year or so ago. They were always fun to see what he was up to. You see, it's real loose. It's cool. Look at the bend on his guns. It's awesome. Yeah, hopefully this is fun and something a little out of the box. I mean, these are for entertainment, but I try to squeeze in some sort of hopefully educational content within that. So, look at it as entertainment. And then, I always stress this too is my opinions are based on that day, because I watch videos back and I'll say stuff sometimes and I disagree with my own comments. So, or I spot stuff that I didn't notice in the piece. It's a little tricky to shoot the video, narrate it, and hit all my marks. So, this is such a great little drawing. It's really cool. This is all really nice. Great pose right there. This is nice too. It's just an exciting page. It's funny because some of this was reminding me of some of my favorite video games, like Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter, and even a little like Crash Bandicoot or something. I mean, I know it's not like literal, but it's just fun stuff. You can see though, I mean, it's like, this is real loose. I mean, for me, someone who finishes drawings, my own drawings and stuff like that, would it would really take quite a leap of faith to feel comfortable finishing pieces to this extent, and knowing that they're done and that they're refined enough to work. But you know, you build up to it. This wasn't something that happened for him overnight. You'll see as we look at his other stuff how it goes. Also, he has the advantage of that he is inking himself as opposed to finishing someone else's drawings, so that can be tricky too. Is you're a little under the gun if you're working over someone else's stuff for the inkers out there, because it's like there's expectations, and then it's like you have your own sort of natural styles versus what the penciler wants, and then what they put down. I mean, it can vary too. Is like some people pencil things one way, but they sort of have a vision of what it's going to look like finished that might be different. These are all really cool. It's really, really great. From here to here is awesome. I like that he pulled the camera in tighter too. It's funny. And this is nice. Just nice, bold, brushy strokes. You can see the water going up into the costume a little bit there. It looks good, man. So I always tell people there's no one inking style that's like right, or drawing style. Like, if you get good at something and it's exciting to look at, then it's good, You don't need to fit into some little narrow box, or think that because so-and-so finishes their work one way that you need to do that. Anything can work. So sometimes we'll get people more at conventions, and more a few years ago, but they would show me the work, and I think they would expect me to want it to be a certain way, and a lot of times, if it works, it works. I don't care if it's inked, I don't care if it's colored. If a drawing looks good, a drawing looks good. It's just the way that it is. And then you can deal with if you actually want to ink it or not, or just level it to a point where it could be colored over pencils, whatever it is, digital inks. It doesn't really matter. You just want good drawings and interesting layouts. And we talk about figure drawing and anatomy, quote unquote, and he doesn't really use much of it, but his figure drawing is good, meaning that the figures are solid in his own way. It's there, it's just very stylized. He doesn't throw lines that don't really not make sense, if that makes sense. Is like he's indicating folds right here. This is fine. I mean, it's like these all go directions that they should. But if he started putting like lines going, this way, or something like wrinkles going a way that they wouldn't normally go, would start to look weird. And that's where you would start to be sending mixed signals to the people looking at the work. And even non-artists can kind of get a vibe that something's off. So, it's one of those things that there's sort of a pendulum that swings and a balance that art needs. This is great. I love this. Man, it's really cool. I have all these comics. It's funny. I need to get out to my storage and pull all this stuff out because it would be fun to have switch it up in my office and get rid of all the books I have in here and bring in a new batch of fun stuff to look at. But these videos suffice. This is cool. Yeah, really, really nice. You'll really trip out when you see his earlier work, though, how different it is. You could see he was trying to figure out, like, you'll see bits and pieces of what the work became, but then you'll also see him kind of like learning to draw, probably dealing with the pressure of like where to sort of fit in a company like Marvel. And you know, just like you're getting feedback from editorial and stuff like that, and that can kind of throw you off your game a little bit, even though they mean well, and probably ultimately it would improve your work. But you know what I mean, the second you get out of your comfort zone, it can make the work sort of crumble, but then it builds up better. So you know, it's always difficult to tell what exactly is going on for those. There's quite a few of these. I think it goes through the full issue, so it's fun to see them. But you know, super organic lines. Look at that, how thick that line is, and it's kind of wobbly, and you know, these aren't connected, and some overthrow. It's fine, you know. It fits in the world. This is a nice way to set up your lighting on the jacket. I like this. This is kind of what I do. The tricky thing is then when you have to go with tighter lines to commit to what it's going to be, like the silhouette of it, like, because this gives you, there's like little breathing room, there's a little bit of white here, and just little nuances that when you go in with a harder line, you can sort of struggle to refine. This is great. This is so awesome. This whole scene is great. So funny. His face. Oh, those are so cool. Man, it's awesome. It reminds me of the opening scene in the newer Hellboy movie. Them fighting in the sort of the luchador ring. It's funny because the expression on this was a little more extreme with the color. I don't know why, but it really made the eyes look like they were bulging more, and kind of there was this pull, cartoony pull on it. But in black and white, it's a little more tame. This has got it. There's like a sweep. You see it kind of going up, and the eyes are sort of going back. But this had it too. The colors sort of amplified it, which is what you want. You know, good colors should complement the art and hopefully move it forward and not pull it down. You can see here he did it more. Do you see the eye shape? What I was talking about is they're lifting and going this way. It's that pull. Another thing I've been looking at was a lot of the design work for Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride. I think his name is Dean, Deane, Diane something or other. Dude's good. There's not a lot of his art online, but he's a badass. Like, he does storyboards and character design, but he's great. Tim Burton can draw quite well too. This is so good. It's a great pose. And these guys are awesome. He always does these side views of these guards. I love the open mouth that he uses. It's very like Doonesbury or I don't know, like some of those like Sunday comic cartoon strips, comic strips, what do they call them? Bam! Shattered. This is all really good. Good stuff. Here's the thumbnail on that. This is going to be a long video. Holy cow. We haven't even gotten through this yet. I'm getting a little worried. Like, I've got an issue of Oz open, and then that other stuff too. Alright, so let's hustle through a few of these quicker. We'll look at the black and white, as it's cool to see the drawing without the color. So you can see how clear it is and the level of detail. This is interesting, seeing the crowd, how he drew it. I like doing crowds this way. I think it's pretty effective. All the head shapes are interesting, and puts a little bit of shadow kind of on some of them a little bit more. It works good. Then this is enough of a establishing shot of, you know, what the people look like. So you don't need to retell it twice. This is all real good. And if you notice here, he avoided the pure side view more towards a shot where you see the teeth. You're getting a little bit of a down shot of the lower jaw. So you get the back side of these teeth, and the eye is looking in and the head is looking in. So a more novice might do more of a side view, which wouldn't really be effective. You want to pull people in and then bring them back out. You can see here, it almost is even like a little bit more extreme. The eye is lifted a bit more. And that's what happens, is your gestures usually will be a little more animated. And as you go in and refine drawings, they can start to stiffen up and tighten up a little bit. Skottie keeps it pretty on point, but even for him, you can see the subtle differences of, like, there's really a significant like lift to this eye that the other one didn't have just exactly as much. It's like, you know, you firm up this line, and all of a sudden, if it drops even just the tiniest bit, I can really change it. If if you watch this, you'll know what I'm talking about. We've been doing facial expression videos, lessons, and I was showing him how subtle it is, and how, man, you just chill something out even a little bit, it's like the facial expression will go from like super killer to like nice, but it just won't have that spark. But he's pretty good at keeping the spark. Oh, a little too big. That's cute. Those are great. Yep, really cool. Man, I got so lucky. So I started to shoot this video, and I checked the audio, tested it, and it looked like my mic was working. I was getting like a reading, and it all looked like it was going to the right levels and stuff like that. But I always listened to it back just to make sure that the audio was good, and the audio was totally digitized, and it would have sounded like, I mean, you wouldn't have been able to listen to it. So I got super lucky, because I would have shot like an hour video and then had to trash it, and there would have been no Super Fun Sunday. So the takeaway, always check the audio. Listen to it, make sure that it worked. This is really good. This is great. I love the angle that he put these. Yeah, it's really cool. Man, it's awesome. Yep, he's so good. Okay, so we're gonna move a little faster. After this, we'll move faster. I love this spread. This is so great. This is a good reward. Look at that. Man, you open that up in your comic, and you're just like, yes. This shit is so cool. Oh, man, it's all awesome. Colors are great, too. Yeah, this reminds me of something right out of, like, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, got the black and white. We want Seuss. There you go. He knows. I actually pulled out all my Dr. Seuss books. I've done actually a video on Dr. Seuss that I never uploaded. I recorded it probably 2 years ago, and I finished it, and it was fine. It was a good video, but yeah, I actually never put it on YouTube. I didn't think enough people would be into it, so I didn't do it. But there's a lot of stuff that I like that I don't think that people, it would just, it's like, it starts to pull things in a weird direction. But who knows? Maybe someday. Maybe I'll do like an NC Wyeth or a Andrew Wyeth video. Hit Rembrandt. Okay, so this is the early stuff. So this is where it gets interesting. Is this, you'll see Skottie isms in some of this work for sure, but you'll also, if you were familiar with any of the work that came out at this time, there was a lot of people that drew in this style, and in fact, Wildstorm let a bunch of them go because it's when this style crashed in on itself. Man, it was over. All the cartoony artists at Wildstorm really struggled because just it was like Frank Quietly was hitting and Brian Hitch was hitting, and there was just this different look. So this is still this is a different book. We'll see if, okay, here, this is it. But you can see this looks a little like Skottie, but this isn't a great page to think, but you'll notice the structure. See, check this out. I mean, this could be like Adam Polina. There was a bunch of people that drew sort of like this at the time. But luckily, Skottie weathered the storm, and he took his style even more extreme, funny enough, and it ended up working for him. But you see, like, the structure of the characters is bigger, and there's a lot more drawing going on. Not just detail, but, like, the way that he draws stuff. It's more literal. He clearly knows how to draw anatomy, because it's a pretty nicely drawn arm on this gargoyle right here. So... you know what I mean? Like he's a knowledgeable cartoonist, which is the best way to be. This is a nice fist. This is all really good, but like you can see how different it is. Check this out. This is where you can start to see like this looks like Skottie stuff, but this doesn't so much, you know? But yeah, when you work for companies, which again, that's not a necessity now. If you have a big enough fan base, you can 100% publish on your own. But yeah, I mean, to break in and stuff like that, I mean, you do have to kind of appeal to the sensibilities of what they're publishing at that time. And the thing is you can also be a victim of it, meaning that when the style trend changes, and every trend in comics at some point gets boring and played out, and then you need to come up with something else. It's like... some people are able to create like a brand that they can stick to, but it better be really appealing. But past that, I mean, you have to be kind of liquid. And again, you either become a great version of you, or comics is going to steamroll you. Unfortunately, this is great. Yeah, it's not a gentle business by any means. You can see this looks like a newer artist drawing stuff. This is great. I threw in some covers that he did. These are awesome. Just looks like a fun day of drawing, you know? You see his stuff, you go, yes. I guess this is back to the story. This is a pretty simple piece. It's nicely drawn, though. I actually like the juxtaposition of these huge stones. This is all really cool. Cape is nice. I mean, he definitely had the skills to break in. Here he goes. This is more of the story. That looks very Skottie. But you'll see the oh, this is a Oz piece. It's great. But man, he really, you see how much he changed his structure. And then look at this. I mean, I wouldn't even know if you showed this to me and said, guess who this is. I would have no idea. I mean, the arm lengths are kind of weird. It's like the perspective is sort of an upshot, and at times it starts to sort of change on itself. And I mean, it's not a big deal though. He's learning at this point. But then, like, look at this, how it evolved into what it evolved into. It's crazy, right? This is his stuff too. It's great. Here's more of the story. Said I thought this was interesting, and this like kind of does fit into that category of the like the evolution thing that I was talking about with Silvestri, where it's like fascinating to see Skottie's work. It's such a early stage. Like, look at this. And Skottie, if you ever see this, your work is awesome. I love it. I love following you on Instagram. I will have a link to Skottie's Instagram too, by the way. And then I apologize for showing this if you didn't want it out there. You may not care. Yeah, you can just see how different it ended up being. Look at his buildings. His buildings are great. It's so fun. This is a great little drawing. But yeah, my friend Javon Kirby did a couple of the stories in the collection that this was in. And JJ did, there was like a Spawn Kills Everyone. I think he recently drew that within the last year or two, but he had a pretty big dry spell, you know, where it was tough for him to find work because his work kind of is more like this. And JJ's great. Okay, and that was the first piece that we looked at. I don't think we're through everything though. Oh yeah, here's more of the story. But this is a nice page. Like, I like this. It's this character he draws great. And this is a very, very cool panel. This all looks really good. This is super cool. This is some of the Oz stuff. Oh yeah, that's that one shot where he changed the shape of the I guess it might have been a different page. It's similar, but even this panel I think changed quite a bit. And then look at this. Like, isn't that crazy that this is his work? Who'd have thunk it? Like, they're even surprised. Look at the arms, how he draws them on this story. They're so teeny. And this rocket. We saw this in pencils and inks. Yeah, this is cool. I actually like this. This is nice. Very, very tough pose to draw. This can be challenging. Arms crossed too can be tricky. It depends on where you're at. This arm's a little funky, but you know, it is what it is. It's crazy too because this work is inked, but man, this is some heavy, heavy colors on this. I'm nearly sure it credited Sean Parsons as the inker on that story. This is some of the Oz stuff, I think. I have the trade of this. So cool. Okay, we'll move that a little quicker. So yeah, this is very like JJ Kirby, Adam Polina. I actually looked up Adam Polina. I think he works in like video games now, but he was really good. If you know Adam's stuff, he had a really, really exciting style, kind of like the cartoony stuff, but then also maybe a little like Eric Canetti. Had a little bit of an edge, a darkness to it. This is that one nice page. This is so cool. It's totally like a video game. Yeah, look at this. This is so awesome. The colors are great on this page too. But yeah, JJ drew a lot like this. Man, this is so cool. Colors are just really nice on that. And this is from I think 2013, 2014. The other stuff, like my guess would be it's from probably like the late 90s. The older stuff that we're looking at. So you're talking like 14 years later, approximately. But yeah, I mean, I do reviews of people's stuff that are looking to break in that draw about at this level right now. So, you know, this should be encouraging that, you know, you stick to it. Your work will just get better and better. You'll come up with an identity. You'll start to make your decisions will be more in your control, you know, where you go, I want to draw arms this way, and you just will do it because you'll have the confidence and enough experience to know, you know, you'll trust your eye. This is great. Yeah, this little sequence in the dark room is really, really well drawn. I love all the shadows and stuff. Man, he just kicked ass on it. this? This is cool. He's funny. Oh man, this is so good. This is nice. Nice colors. Okay, I'm going to start wrapping this up because this thing, it was very, very long. Let me get in here and see how much more we have open. Oh yeah, we saw this in pencil. Was that nice drawing? Man, it's so good. So much energy in that drawing. I love the tweak on the gun. Oh, it's just little scribbles, you know. Little suggestions of a huge crowd. Works well. Look at these guys. So awesome. His teeth. He would do an interesting Star Wars story. Man. His Ewoks would be gnarly. It would be actually pretty cool. Has he ever done Star Wars? I bet he's done a Star Wars piece. He had to have done like a Star Wars cover for Marvel or something at some point. This is cool. Man, Mignola, he really did a lot of fun stuff over the last like month or two on his Instagram. It's been really interesting watching him rip through different licenses and stuff like that. But Skottie's another guy that it's interesting to see them play in those different playgrounds. So their style is so unique. It's like you can kind of guess what they might do, but you know what I mean? Like, it's really fun to see. Those are so cool. They look so evil. Fun evil. Mischievous. Yeah, it's cool. That's a nice little panel. I like that. Yes, it's got a little Zelda vibe too. It's all my favorite fun cartoony video games. Makes me wish that I had a 48-hour day so I could work, play video games, and get all my stuff done. It's just not possible. It's very, very Chuck Jones, Dr. Seuss. This in particular. Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, these are great. So fun. Yeah, this is like totally... This is like Zelda. Oh, yeah. This is pretty interesting. There's a wraparound cover, too. I'm not sure if this is part of it. But yeah, so... Like, A babies versus the X babies. The baby things, they got hot for a while. But being a baby artist, whew, that would be a rough road. If you get put in that category, as there's not a lot of baby books. And, you know, again, Skottie is the exception to the rule. But he's entrenched deep enough at Marvel where he's able to pull it off. And obviously he's done a lot of work outside of Marvel. But, yeah, it's tricky, you know. They might do compilation books where it's like there's 3 or 4 short stories. There's J.J. Kirby. But, you know, it's tough to get a mini series or steady work if you get sort of pigeonholed as the baby artist. Because that's what happened to J.J. And he loved doing it, and he does it great. And it's like JJ's stuff is a little more realistic than Skottie's too. Not realistic, but it's a different level of baby cartoony. This is all really cool though. I didn't realize he's kind of like wearing like a onesie. That's funny. Oh yeah, this is a nice cover. You can see he's really having fun playing with stuff now. He just bending his art to his will, literally. Fun, fun, fun. And this is the last piece. Very, very cool cover. His legs. That's so awesome. Zoop. So, all right. Oh, I didn't even realize that was Groot. That's cool. When I originally seen the cover, it kind of opened like this, and I just assumed he was standing on like a tree trunk or something. But nope. So, all right. Have a great day. I hope you have a fun Sunday and everyone's feeling healthy and safe out there and everything. And I will talk to you all soon. All right. Bye.